This is Comic Picks by the Glick, and here's your host, Jason Glick, and I'm your co-host, John Murphy.
I just wonder how many of those pre-recording takes are actually going to make it into this thing. Okay.
You never know.
Yeah, I hope our audience doesn't have any idea what I mean by that, but we'll see. Anyway, welcome to part 2 of the my take on Dark Horse Manga, and the first week dealt with all the titles they've flipped for release in America, just talking about the old school days, back when you had to flip stuff, make it read the traditional American standards from left to right.
The old Oh My Goddess stuff.
Oh My Goddess, Believe the Immortal, Lone Wolf and Cub.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and this worked fine for them for years until Tokyo Pop hit upon the idea of leaving stuff unflipped and just releasing volumes at $10 a piece.
And then we'll put directions in the back of it saying, stop, go to the other side of the cover, right?
Exactly. And that pretty much changed the manga industry as we knew it and caused it to explode into one of the biggest comics growth industries.
Good for Tokyo Pop.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, not so good for them right now, but that's a whole other podcast.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Anyway, Dark Horse took a little while longer to get up to speed on this stuff for their titles. But hey, once they did, turns out they, true to form, they released gobs and gobs of stuff that I was still interested in. I've already talked about one of these in a previous podcast, just Old Boy.
Right.
Another one of those is Eden. It's an Endless World. Now, this is one of those titles that's constantly under a death watch, because Dark Horse, well, my biggest gripe with them is that, as opposed to other major manga companies like Del Rey and Viz, Dark Horse still actually cancels titles. They won't see them through to the end, because if something's not making money, then, and if no one's buying it, then hey, they have to kill it, because they're still a business. And Eden is sadly one of these titles, but it's just a shame. It's a great title. It's a coming of age story told in a post-pandemic era where a virus kills off about a third of the world's population, and has given rise to religious factors that are taking over the world, and anti-religious organizations that are combating them. At the center of this is a kid named Elijah Ballard, whose father is a drug lord who is basically trying to combat the influence of the biggest organization on the planet, Propator. Now,
Propator.
Yes. Now, I think one of the reasons the series hasn't caught on is because it's really, really hard to say exactly what it's about. It's essentially it's all about Elijah, trying to find a way, growing up in this kind of world, how he meets up with the opposition forces, gets his eyes open to what death is like, and also discovers girls and relationships as well. I mean, it's done extremely well. The writer and artist Hiroki Endo has a great eye for character detail and for getting inside his characters' heads, find out how they're thinking and why they do the things they do. He's also got a tremendous talent for constructing an incredible action scene. Some of the stuff I've seen in these volumes rivals even Katsuhiro Otomo's work in Akira. It's just that good. So really, if you like your action scenes with lots of some intelligence as well, then by God, please pick this series up right away. Yeah. Now, going on to other series that have been more successful for them is I mentioned in the previous podcast that Kazuo Koike has become kind of a cottage industry for Dark Horse, and some of his other titles they've released unflipped are Crying Freeman, which is made into a movie from a couple of years back by Christoph Gans, the guy who did Silent Hill and Brotherhood of the Wolf. Yeah, it's about an assassin who cries each time he kills someone because he remembers the person he used to be before this group of assassins captured him and turned him into this person. Now, the thing is with about Kazuo Koike's works that they've got great interesting characters, lots of action. It's there's so much sex and violence in here that it's all the stories are very, very macho works. They're works for manly men, manly things, and that's what Crying Freeman is. I mean, there's another Koike series called Wounded Man, which is the most macho series I've ever read to the point of utter ridiculousness. And Crying Freeman is kind of like that, only it's toned down to less toxic levels of testosterone. And it's a fun series if you're a guy looking for some a good beach read, I guess, or just stories like lots of sex and killing. And the same extends to Path of the Assassin, another series he did with Lone Wolf and Cub artist Gosei Kojima, which is basically the story of Tokugawa Ieyasu and his right hand man, the master ninja Hanzo Hattori.
Aha.
Yeah.
Is this the Hanzo Hattori that's referenced in the Kill Bill series?
Well, it's this to say that this Hanzo Hattori is the reason why there's a Hanzo Hattori to reference in the Kill Bill series.
Aha. So you're saying it's just a reference in the Kill Bill series to make this character. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's a change of pace from the usual stuff because there's a lot of political intrigue in here that can be kind of hard to follow if you're not constantly rereading the series like after each next new volume comes out. But I will say it is worth it to find out to puzzle out all the intrigue because it tells a compelling story. There's also like even more sex in this than his previous work. Collaborations with Kojima, and I don't know if that's because they just felt it would sell better, but it just gets kind of ridiculous after a while. Yeah, same goes for his another series he did. Kazuo Koike did with another artist. Who's this guy? Kamimura something. My bad. It's called Lady Snowblood, which is also you say it's another reference to an inspiration for Kill Bill.
Gotcha.
It's about a woman who was given birth to in a prison as a means for her to enact her mother's vengeance against the people who sent her there.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it takes place in a Meiji era Japan. Japan is getting open to Western influences, and it's fun seeing this character. Lady Snowblood. I mean, going around killing bad guys, and it's a traditional Kazuo Koike vengeance story, and if that's the kind of floats your boat, then hey, I go for it. I mean, otherwise, I can't see you missing a whole lot else.
All right, what's next?
Okay, let's see. Another artist at Dark Horse, another writer. I mean, who Dark Horse has been seen to bring out over here recently. Is called Eiji Otsuka. He writes two titles for them: MPD Psycho and the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service.
We talked about the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service.
We talked about Kurosagi in one of our proto podcasts that never actually made it on the air.
Oh, that's right. We did talk.
Which is why, which I'm about to give it its due in a second. But first, talking about MPD Psycho. Now, the MPD stands for Multiple Personality Detective. The Psycho means that this guy's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's about
people with multiple personalities aren't crazy already.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, see, this series is notorious for its completely over the top violence. I mean, like people get killed off in all sorts of interesting ways. Especially like some of the girls, some ladies in the first volume who I'm never going to forget this, who were turned into flower pots because like the killer decided to start growing flowers in their brains. And let me tell you, that's the kind of thing that you can expect to see over the course of series. Like you got like kids who set up their own serial killings, and an FBI profiler who felt he was so special that he wanted to claw all the skin off his face in order to prove it. Now you see, you might be wondering, like, well, Jason, you're talking about all these things, but what does that have to do with the main series? And that's one of the issues I have, because while the overall main plot is about this one guy, Kazuhiko Amamiya, who was once a detective, but then after his girlfriend was delivered to him as a torso at the Metropolitan Police Department, kills the guy and starts to develop multiple personality disorder as a result. Now it turns out that he's also has a relationship to this mysterious organization called Gakutsuo, who are also got some weird plans that involve like a former 60s controversial figure named Lucy Monostone. And if you're trying to wonder how am I going to tie all this together, I'm kind of wondering too. It's because it's very stylish, and it certainly has attitude to spare. But I'm still kind of wondering after 5 volumes that where exactly is all this headed. I mean, it hasn't quite cohered into a proper direction. I mean, it's like there's plenty of outrageous stuff to keep me interested, but I'm kind of not. I'm kind of like it doesn't make me look forward to each volume as much as Eiji Otsuka's other series, the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service, does. Now, the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service is a much more episodic series, which is basically involves a bunch of unemployable college college students from a Buddhist university who each have their own talents, either dowsing, channeling, embalming, hacking, or speaking with the dead.
Right.
And it's basically their jobs. They get jobs from dead people, and in order to deliver them to their final resting place. And if they're lucky, the dead person will also find a way to get them paid as well. Now it's a very very strange, but also very very witty and entertaining series that has lots of it's enjoyably eccentric in the way that it talks all the various cases involved, such as it has them matching wits with an insurance investigator who's found a way to calculate exactly like based on based on your name and occupation, just like what's the most likely way for you to die at some point, or even when they have to when they wind up meeting up with having to fake some crop circles and also deal with a corpse from a space shuttle that turns out that is first thought to be an alien, then turns out to be a Russian space chimp. Then also turns out to be more alien in origin than they suspected. Yeah, and also it's like and also like a devious businessman who cryogenically froze himself for 20 years in order to collect on an insurance fraud scheme as well. And there's all sorts of crazy interesting stuff in the series that it's worth reading to see what's going to happen next. And there's also an ongoing plot about the person who can talk with the dead, Kuro Karatsu, his guardian spirit, and just what exactly is its connection to him, and just why does he have this thing in its first place. What really makes it worthwhile is the excellent adaptation by Carl Gustav Horn, who, even though you can tell he takes a few liberties with how this is strictly the strict English to Japanese translation, you don't care because he still gets the spirit across perfectly, and he's goddamn funny in the process as well. He also provides copious English notes at the back of each volume to let you know on the about what's also going on as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, there's also been a couple other series that Dark Horse has released over the years that didn't quite get off the ground. Stuff like, let's see, Museum of Terror from Junji Ito, which, well, I don't blame him because Junji Ito, yeah, he can be scary, but he's also got a whole lot of stupid mixed in with his horror as well. Let's see. What else? Oh, yeah, Reiko the Zombie Shop, which is a tragedy this never caught on because it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer as directed by Sam Raimi. And if that doesn't get your juices going, then I don't know what will. Fortunately, its translator, Michael Gombos, has said that he wants to bring this back at whatever the cost. Even means like putting his own money forward to put this out. And if he does, he's got my money already.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah. And then you got Satsuma Gishiden, which is an old school samurai story from the 70s by a bunch of hardcore samurai who are forced to build a dam in another province a ways away. And it's like the first line is like it's this crazy scene where all these samurai are chasing after this convicted felon in order to get his liver. And it's like it's reason you're just like you got like a samurai movie right in your hand. And unfortunately, it's like no one bought it because we only got 3 out of the 6 volumes, which is it's just tragic. I wish we should get more. There's other series which I think are headed that way, but to be honest, I can't say that they're really. I'd be really too disappointed if they didn't get that way in the process. One of these series is Translucent, and to be honest, it's like if it does turn out to be we only get 3 volumes of this series so far, I can't say I'd be too disappointed if that happened, because it's a cute little story about a world where people have this disease called translucent syndrome, where they just turn invisible after a while. And it focuses on one girl who just turns translucent about once every month or so. Yeah, and it's cute, it's fun, it's relaxing. That's generally about it.
She turns invisible once in a while.
Yeah, and it's probably, I think it turns out like there are a bunch of junior high kids, and I also feel the series would probably be probably more appreciated by kids in that age range. As for me, though, it's like I've been generous in buying the volumes so far, so I'm kind of wondering, just waiting for it to really take off and go somewhere. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering where exactly that's going to go. Mm-hmm. another series that just came out this week called Ghost Talker's Daydream.
Oh, yes. I know about this one.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, the reason why I know about it is because I've seen the anime for it. I've actually... No, you know what? Yeah, that and... I forget who the manga publisher was in Japan, but I have run into it before.
Okay. Yeah, because actually it's one of the reasons I think Dark Horse brought it over, because does have a successful manga tie-in. Mm-hmm. At least in Japan, at least. I don't know if the series... I don't think it's been released over here yet.
No, it has not.
Yeah. But I'm based on the first volume, at least. I'm willing to give it more time to develop. But so far, it kind of reads like another Dark Horse series that I feel would be lucky to get to three volumes and then be done. Because it's like it seems all right. I mean, it's like the stories involve basically like a kid who was bullied and whose spirit haunts this apartment complex, and another infant child who was killed winds up haunting this one teddy bear she once had. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The ghost talker of the title is just like, I can't remember, her name is like Psyche, who basically she's a dominatrix by day,
yes,
ghost talker, person who talks with the dead by night.
Right.
And to be honest, it's the series. I can't say it's really bad by any means, but it's just kind of meh so far. Because I mean, the stories are perfectly fine, but there's also like a fair amount of fan service. In fact, in the way that they tend to, hey, you know what? It's like she's a dominatrix. You know, that's kind of sexy. And also, we're going to show you lots of images of her in her panties. Also, one point where one of her fans, we see, like, creeps in, steals her underwear, and for this part of the story, she's going to go around wearing no panties for the entire time. Yeah. So it's just that kind of like gratuitous fan service that really annoys the hell out of me. If I wanted this kind of stuff, I'd read hentai manga.
Yeah.
But in this kind of case, I'm looking for something a bit more substantial. I mean, it's like I'm willing to give it more of a shot, like once the second volume comes out. But as it stands right now, well, who knows?
Yeah, I agree with your assessment on that. After I've read a little bit of the manga that was fan translated a long time ago, but
yeah. Anyway, yeah. Speaking of fan translations, a couple of the series that Dark Horse is publishing now I've actually read in scanlated form, and I'm buying now because they were that good. One of these is a new title that's been highly anticipated called Gantz. Now, Gantz is a story of a bunch of people who were unfortunately killed one day, only to find themselves reincarnated in an apartment room with instructions by a giant black ball to go out and kill this alien next. Now, they gave them lots of guns and weapons to do this with, but beyond that, they don't know what they're supposed to do. Now, the first volume is generally like a whole lot of setup. I mean, it's interesting in the cast, including its very unsympathetic main character, Kay, who's just like your standard like angsty, self-centered high school kid, and also his former friend, what was his name, Kuro something, who basically is a much more emphatic and sympathizable character. And it's like I can tell you this, that Kay eventually does become more sympathetic. In the first volume, he's kind of like, well, he's like a normal high school punk. Yeah, but still, it's like there's enough. I'd say that there's still enough mystery and suspense, and it's really, really well drawn and illustrated. That it's still definitely worth sticking around for once things really get going. Take some surprising twists as it goes along. So I realize I'm seeking more of like knowledge of where the series goes as opposed to where it is right now. But I can tell you it is. Right now, like what's here right now is still stylish enough that even if I hadn't read this before, I'd still probably want to give it a shot to see what happens next. Anyway, as for speaking of other series I've read in fan translation form, I come to what is probably my favorite title of the unflipped Dark Horse era. That would be Berserk. Now, have you seen the anime at all?
I've seen some of the anime.
Yes. The anime is
Guts, right? And
yes, Guts.
Big sword.
Yes, Guts and his goddamn big sword. And I tell you, it's like the anime would be one of my all-time favorite series if it wasn't for that goddamn ending, which basically it's like the world's worst cliffhanger.
Yes.
Now the manga does take you past that cliffhanger, but more importantly, it's a story of the swordsman Guts, who's searching the land for vengeance against his former leader of the Band of the Hawk, known as Griffith. Mm-hmm. Griffith, however, has become a god in the meantime, and Berserk is a story. It starts with the story of how Griffith and Guts met, and their journeys together as part of the Band of the Hawk, and their triumphs and eventually tragedy as Guts leaves the Band of the Hawk and inadvertently causes Griffith's downfall as well. Mm. Now, this is easily one of the most violent, one of the violent manga I've ever seen, because, man, people are getting killed left and right here. Lots of blood splatters everywhere. It's everyone dies horribly in this series. But makes it all worthwhile is that the story is strong enough to sustain that kind of gratuitous violence and imagery. I mean, there's still a strong story of betrayal, of trust, betrayal, redemption. Hopefully redemption. I honestly hope so for some of these characters. But there's a point that you get the feeling that even though it's like the mangaka Kentaro Miura does have a large fetish for stuff. He doesn't have the story he wants to tell, and just all the violence and gratuitousness is just a circumstance of this particular story. I mean, it's at 24 volumes so far. It's it might seem a lot if you haven't started reading it, but I tell you, once you start reading it, you're not going to want to put it down. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, but there is enough substance to make this a thoroughly worthwhile read. And if you've seen the anime, you need to read the manga, because trust me, they're never gonna get back to telling you what happens after the end of the anime.
Right.
If you want to know what happens after the end of the anime, read Berserk. Mm-hmm. If you've seen the anime, start with 12 or 13.
There you go. You just cut right on in there, and
yeah,
you don't even have to. Well, you could read the earlier volumes.
Oh yeah, it's even though it's still that's what the anime is adapted from. It's
right.
There's still enough stuff there to keep you interested.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's it for this week. And next week, hey, come back and you'll start talking about Comic-Con and all the time I spent there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Crap, I bought too.
All right. Well, we'll see you later, guys.
Night.